Hey guys, Brooke and Laura here with Lawyering Outside the Lines. Today we are going to talk about loving your law practice and why we love ours now and how you can too.
Not just love ours, but love your own.
Oh yeah, no, I mean you gotta love us, but then also love your own. So we want you to be able to love your own law practice. But first we're going to kind of take a step back and talk about where we used to be and the kind of life that we were living and how that just wasn't really conducive for the life that we wanted and the life that we needed. And so probably about 5 years ago this time for me, I was having really bad health issues. I was 60 pounds overweight. I was stressing out. If my kid was sick and I had to pick him up, it was extremely stressful situation for me. I had that situation yesterday, and my daughter is actually here while we're doing this live, quietly tucked away in another room. But, I did not have that same anxiety. I did not have the interruption that I used to have prior to kind of taking control and deciding what I wanted my law firm to look like, what I wanted my life to look like. And so that's kind of the place that I'm coming from. So we kind of wanted to preface it with where we're coming from to how we got where we are. So that way, if you're in a place where you really want to change, you don't know what that looks like, and you just need to know, hey, it's possible, to make something work for you, then we're talking to you today.
Exactly. A little bit of personal, and then some tips on kind of how you can start looking at what you can possibly do to make you love your practice and your life a little bit more. So for me, I have had an extremely varied career since I passed the bar in 2002, and it's been a lot of travel. I've worked for corporate America with Westlaw, Thomson Reuters. 2 years ago, I started my own law firm that was domestic violence, family law litigation, very low bono, so I made no money. And I'm an anxious person by nature. I want to do everything perfectly. And when you're talking about court deadlines and, having to rely, even with my 12 years at Thomson Reuters Westlaw, I had to rely on team members. And I had a boss once tell me that he wished I didn't care about my job so much, because then I wouldn't be as anxious and as pissed all the time, because I should say ticked, but either one, because I was just so frustrated with my team members who weren't doing their jobs, and I would have to pick up the slack. And when I was doing litigation, having to deal with opposing counsel, especially with a domestic violence situation, and she didn't really mean that, or that, that kind of thing. I am prone to anxiety. I'm prone to insomnia. And so when you have deadlines and you have big projects that you're working on, if you have any insomnia kind of in your brain and your being, then that just kind of spikes it all as well. Even after I took a couple years off for some self-care to try to figure out how I could volunteer more and, do something that was fulfilling in my life. It really wasn't until I joined Brooke with MyVirtual.Lawyer that I started seeing the results of what that could look like. So I came from no kids, but moved around, wasn't around family, traveled a lot for work, was in charge of high dollar contracts. And then I had my own litigation practice like Brooke did. And the flexibility, wasn't as big of a deal for me, except for I like to travel. So when you have court deadlines and you have to work around that, I remember having to work from Paris last year on an answer to some litigation documents and having to figure out I know that sounds like a hard deal. Poor me that I had to work from Paris, but
it's a big issue
when you're trying to, get some stuff done at 9 o'clock at night so it can be submitted to the court on time. But so that's a little bit of where we came from, and how kind of limited scope representation has helped us change our lives and make us happier and love practicing law like we thought we would when we were in law school.
Right. And we feel like we're making a difference.
Exactly. So what is limited scope representation? Some of you may automatically know that, and I say automatically because you researched it or you know about the rules in your state, whatever that might be. But limited scope representation is literally what it sounds like. So you have your full service, full scope representation, which is what people traditionally think of as practicing law. Where we see that as a major difference is with litigation practice areas.
Particularly family law.
Exactly. For us, family law litigation, there's a big difference between full representation and limited scope representation. For transactional attorneys that are out there, you're already limited scope, whether you know it or not, because you're hired for a specific matter, whether that's drafting a contract, whether that's, drafting a trust, a will, whatever it might be. They're just paying your hourly rate or your flat fee and don't know that it's really limited scope representation. But that is limited scope representation. The litigation world, there are so many things in the litigation world that can be limited scope, because what you're doing is your client is hiring you for a specific part of that litigation. In Arkansas, where we are, that could mean just drafting. It could mean a court appearance. Right. We personally don't do court appearances. We choose not to do that with our law firm, but that's an option where you just go for a specific hearing. Depending on your state's rules, there might be specific forms that you have to present for that. But limited scope representation in that litigation world and in transactional world is, instead of you having a contract saying, here's what you're doing, you're paying me an hourly rate, it is a contract that says you're hiring me to produce X, Y, and Z. Your responsibilities in this whole thing are A, B, and C, and D. Right. So what we tend to do with limited scope representation is we help our clients with the documentation and whatever it might be.
The legal stuff.
The legal stuff, yeah, exactly. We help our clients with the legal stuff, and we don't charge them for the things that they can do themselves, like service and mailing and
we delegate all of the administrative tasks to our clients with our instructions as much as they have hired us for.
Exactly. So what that does is it limits your involvement in that case, especially with litigation matters, because you're not having to deal with opposing counsel and calling the court, going to hearings, things like that. So it is that's how we've been able to make a better life for ourselves and love our practice.
Right, and design our life and design our practice so that we, have joy. And we were joking earlier about how we KonMari'd our careers, and we kind of did, because now it sparks joy. But, kind of to what she was getting at, that's a little bit about limited scope. And we always try to go into that a little, because sometimes people may have heard of it, but they're not really clear. Or, sometimes it's called unbundled legal services. Mm-hmm. But it really is, beneficial for us. So that's incentive for us to create that as that's our primary focus. It can be a component, but why we love limited scope representation so much is because it's good for us, but it's also really good for the client. So kind of what we've touched on a bit here is, it's offered flexibility. It's offered the ability for, Laura to travel and still be able to serve our clients, take care of herself, do what she needs to do. For me, it's offered that same flexibility. My husband's military, so, he travels and sometimes we don't have a lot of notice. So I'm able to be flexible in my career. And if my kid, like I said earlier, if my kids are home, then, I can still work. I'm still, being able to serve my clients, serve my business, and not feel like I'm a failure in all parts of my life, or stressing out to the point that, it leads to other health issues, mental issues, whatever else. So it's really good for us. You can also be really efficient with limited scope, which is something I like. I think we can all be more efficient in our law practices. But the way we utilize technology has also helped us to be able to create more of a practice that fits around our lifestyle.
Exactly. For example, because Brooke said I like to travel, I had mentioned Paris earlier for last year, but I just got back from Colorado last night. I have college friends there, wanted to go visit, got a $200 plane ticket, and we take our limited scope representation that step further, and we're a virtual law firm as well. So we do use technology and things like that for efficiency. So because of that, I got to Colorado on Thursday night. I worked for a few hours on Friday morning to get some things drafted that I needed to get out. Able to enjoy Saturday, Sunday, work from the airport a little bit on Monday. So that's where you, again, because you don't have those things that are constantly making you stay awake at night. I had health issues as well, and nobody can tell you this, but my doctors, can't say this is what caused this, but I can tell you it's probably stress and anxiety, because I think all of us, we as lawyers, we definitely don't focus on taking care of ourselves and And we have the highest rates of alcoholism and
so it should be holistic,
like
and that's why I mentioned, we get to take care of, I get to take care of my kids, and we get to take care of our business, but we also take care of ourselves.
Exactly.
And so it is important. There's not one way to practice law. Like I said, it's beneficial for the clients as well. It offers them something that's not necessarily the norm. It's not necessarily something that they're used to, but you can make it more personalized. We find that our clients, we're able to have better communication with our clients. We are empowering our clients. We find that our clients are more educated because they're more involved in the process. So there are a lot of benefits for doing limited scope representation in your practice, not only to the lawyer, but also on the client as well.
Excuse me, sorry. So what can you do? How can you kind of look at your own practice and figure out how to still do what you want to do for your clients, but also make it work for you as well? First things that we suggest that you do, we're talking about, kind of 3 basic things here. First thing that we suggest that you do is figure out what your pain points are. What do you want to do with your life that you're not able to do right now? Whether that's making a list of those pain points on a piece of paper, on your iPad, on your computer, whatever it might be, have a tangible list that you can say, I would really like to be able to take 2 vacations a year without having to worry about deadlines or court or
even write what you don't like. Right in there, one thing that, Laura was saying, she, sometimes some of the court scheduling is stressful, and it is because it's hard to sometimes plan for that, and it's sometimes hard to balance with your life. So if that's a problem for you, but you still love family law, well, that was a reason for us to say, we still want to help family law clients. There's a need here, but litigation doesn't work for us. How can we do this transactionally? So that's part of it too.
Absolutely. So yeah, what are the things that I'm struggling with that I don't like that I still want to help, whatever that might be, but make that a tangible list of here are the things that I need to figure out how to do better because I don't like the way they're working right now.
Right.
Step number 2 is to see, based on that list, but also just in general with your practice, how can you be more efficient? How can you figure out, because I think a lot of lawyers, if not all lawyers, work tremendous amounts of hours, regardless of whether or not they're litigation or transactional or in private practice.
And you don't realize how efficient you need to be until you don't have time to go be efficient.
Exactly. So a couple of things under efficiency that we have found that work really well for us are things like look at outsourcing options. We don't have a physical office, but we outsource for answering services. You can outsource for things like blog writing, social media, things like that, so that you're taking some of that off of your plate. But also, it cannot be stressed enough. Look at things that you can automate.
Yes.
Technology is huge to help you with efficiency and
for solo and small firms, I don't think it's ever been more accessible and affordable. It's really not. It's just getting out and figuring out what technology works for your practice and what you need and how you need that workflow to go.
Exactly. And it's going to take some time on the front end, but that's also something you can outsource. So automation is really something that's, it's just kind of time consuming,
right?
But it's mindless for the most part. So that's something that you can, kind of combine outsourcing and automation.
Do it once for the most part. You're going to do it once, and then you're going to save so much time later. So it's worth it.
Yes.
Struggling through it.
Exactly.
Or outsourcing.
So figure out your pain points, look at where you can be efficient outsourcing technology, but also something that we all need to learn how to do, and I think it's moving towards this anyway, is think like a business owner and not a lawyer. Especially for those of us that are solo small practice, right. You are a lawyer, but you are a lawyer who's running a business. And what Brooke and I do that I think works out really well for us is we think of ourselves as a business first. We are a business that offers legal services. So it is a very different kind of world when you look at it that way. I think it's a lot easier to evaluate different ways that you can maneuver and change in order to make your life better and figure out how to love your practice and not be...
Well, and to be able to be making money doing it.
Exactly.
Because we're focusing on all the legal consumers. Yes, they're technically clients, but when you're focusing on the consumer and you've got everything built around that, then you're able to make sure that you are meeting their needs, and then you can build your practice around that so that you are making money from those consumers.
Exactly. So I think that, just a little recap, we want you to love your practice. It's Valentine's week. Whatever you believe with Valentine's, we're talking about love, and we want you guys to love your practice and love your life like we do. Everybody goes through their ups and downs and struggles, but
you don't have to stay in the box. I think that's kind of generally, that's the whole point of Lawyering Outside the Lines show for us, is that there's no one way to practice, and there are rules that guide us, and there are regulations that we have to, make sure we stay within. But there's a lot of room in there for creativity, and we don't have to be doing the same thing. And I think some of those things may even be obsolete eventually. So, if you're moving forward, making your life better, taking a holistic approach, then you'll be able to get there and you'll be sustainable.
Exactly.
But next week, so if you didn't have anything else on that, next week we are going to be talking a little bit more, because when we bring up limited scope like we did today, sometimes people think, oh my gosh, what is the liability like with that? So next week we're going to talk about whether limited scope opens you up to more liability, and you'll have to stay tuned, but for the short answer is no. So we'll talk to you more about that next week. As always, we are here on Lawyering Outside the Lines at noon Central Time on Tuesdays, 11 Mountain Time, 10 Pacific Time, and 1 Eastern Time. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next week.